A very good evening to all our viewers and welcome to this Sunday's edition of Primetime News, coming to you live from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. I'm Lanka. Let's start off with a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
Valuable Finance, best finance company.
Sri Lanka's national security, an assurance by the Defence Secretary. Will justice be served to the victims of the April 21st attacks? Kumara questions the government. Underworld stokes fears in Alutgama. Gangsters attack a home. Save us from the underworld. A protest in Kotadeniava. National Grid loses 370 megawatts after several power plants fail. New circular to be issued to state institutions to use power and fuel sparingly. No dollars to purchase seeds. Harvests will reduce. No water for cultivations. Farmers voice their woes. JVP reveals details about another scandal.
Mahabanku බැඳුම් කර වංචාවෙන් කොල්ල කෑවා වගේ 10 ගුණයකට වැඩි මුදල් කොල්ල කන්න තමයි මේ හදන්නේ.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
Valuable Finance, best finance company.
And now the stories in detail. Defence Secretary retired General Kamal Gunaratne today assured that there are no issues with regard to national security at present. He was speaking at the inauguration of a War Heroes Memorial at the President's College in Maharagama.
A War Heroes Memorial was unveiled at the President's College in Maharagama under the auspices of Defence Secretary retired General Kamal Gunaratne. The Defence Secretary spoke to the media and expressed these views after the event. The heads of all divisions meet every week, and for about half a day we discuss matters of national security in depth. On the next day we hold a meeting with the President and the Prime Minister and take all steps necessary. National security is a concept that is much more broader than a single murder at one location. If Sri Lanka is facing an invasion from a foreign country, if there is a threat of terrorism causing harm to life, or if people are dying due to a pandemic like COVID-19, or if there are natural disasters causing harm to the people's lives, then we can declare that the country's national security is under threat. Just because a murder is committed at a particular location, that cannot be classified as a threat to national security. Today we have been able to curtail the underworld activities to a very low level. Those minor incidents reported are controlled by the police. However, such incidents and national security are not the same. Such incidents are reported in general, in any country.
The leader of the National People's Power Movement, Kumara Dissanayake, says that the government has failed to punish those responsible for the April 21st attacks.
When Gotabaya Rajapaksa's brand was national security, the market for that brand was created through the April 21st attack. It is only after that a broad discussion on national security arose. Many people in the country hope that the perpetrators of the April 21st attacks will be revealed and that they will be punished. The former IGP Pujit Jayasundar and the former Defence Secretary Hemasiri Fernando were taken to courts. We were told that the Attorney General's department had filed 845 indictments against them, but they were acquitted. If Pujit and Hemasiri are acquitted, who failed to prevent the April 21st attacks? It is the responsibility of the government to inquire into this and bring those people to court. But now it is clear that they are not going to do that. Certain people who are accused of having assisted in the attack are state witnesses. What about the other faction? The group that planned and carried out the attack? The government has not even found a group like that. This government has proved that they have failed to bring to court the people who planned the attack and those who carried out the attack. A year passed by, and then two. By the 21st of April this year, 3 years would have passed since the attack. This issue will be swept under the carpet as time passes by. A massive crisis has been created in the country. No one is responsible for anything. One minister calls another minister over the phone and threatens him with assault. We are waiting till they meet at the Negombo junction. Are these people leaders? Gamman Pillar comes and says that he won't give fuel to Lohuge. Lohuge says he will take action if he does not give fuel. Do we really need a government like this? Maithripala Sirisena says one thing, Dayasiri Jayasekara says something else, and Mahindananda Alutgamage says something completely different. What has happened here? Some people have informed me that even ministers do not have access to the president. It's like he comes to work at 8 and leaves home at 7, and then he goes to eat in Mirihana. A country cannot be taken forward like this. Forget a country. Can you even maintain a chicken coop like this?
එහෙම රටක් යන්න බෑ. රටක් නෙවෙයි ඔයගොල්ලෝ කල්පනා කරලා බලන්න. කුකුල් ගොවිපලක් ගෙනියන්න පුළුවන්ද එහෙම?
An armed group with sharp weapons attacked a house located down Purvarama Road in Alutgama earlier today. Police said the attack was carried out over a dispute that broke out yesterday. The police have arrested 5 suspects connected to the attack.
A number of similar incidents were reported in Mathugama recently. Underworld activities increase in Mathugama, Kalutara and Panadura. Extortion on the rise. A rivalry between 2 warring gangs. The most recent incidents. February 2022. Shops in Mathugama attacked using swords. 15th of February 2022, 2 unidentified gunmen wearing helmets enter a house along Gamini Mawata and attempt to kill 4 people, including 2 children. 1 woman killed. 10th of February 2022, drug smuggler named Abba shot dead by the police special task force during a raid on a house along Isurusiri Mawata in Egoda Uyana, Moratua. Underworld activities continue to increase in Mathugama, Kalutara and Panadura. For your attention.
Area residents of Wattemula-Dewlapitiya staged a protest today, demanding those terrorizing the area be arrested. The protest was staged in Banduragoda across the Mirigama-Dewlapitiya road. It was recently reported that the group terrorizing the area had also attempted to murder children in the area. The group is named Al-Qaeda. The area residents have said that multiple complaints have been made to the police. The Kotadeniava police arrived at the site of the protest.
දැන් ජනීප දෙන්නා එදා අපි ගෙනහිල්ලා රිමාන්ඩ් කරලා දැම්මා. ලංකාවම අවදි කරන්න මේ අපි දගලන්නේ. අනිවාර්ය පැහැදිලි. විශ්වාසය තියාගන්න අපි. විශ්වාසය තියාගන්න. ඔබතුමාලා දන්නා මෙතන වෙච්ච සිද්ධිය. ඔව්. උණු බීලා කියන පට පාතාලේ ඉන්නවා. ඉතින් ගමේ මිනිස්සු බයයි. ඒවන ගමේ ජනතාව බයයි ඉන්නේ. කිසි දෙයකට බය වෙන්න බෑ. ඒ වගේම මම බාර ගන්නවා. ස්ථානාධිපතියට බැරරම යනවා.
The police also searched a house that was suspected to be occupied by the group. 2 people involved in the incident have been taken into custody. Speaking at the annual feast of the Our Lady of Lords Church in Kalutara, Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit, expressed views on the prevailing situation in the country.
We can see a number of disparities. We see murders, robberies, injustices, unenforced laws, Powerful people given special treatment and corruption. It is our responsibility to change this.
ආයිසරයක් හිස ඔසවාගෙන එන කාලයක් අපිට උදා වෙලා තියෙනවා. අපේ යුතුයකම මේක වෙනස් කරන්නට කටයුතු කිරීමයි.
The Mirihana police ordered for the decorations put up for the launch of the Udahamulla East Council of the National People's Power to be taken down. The event was organized in Ambuldeniya, Mirihana.
මේ ජනාධිපතිතුමා යන හින්දානේ ඕගොල්ලන්ට මේ බුලක් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. ජනාධිපතිතුමාට රතු කොඩි ඇලර්ජික් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි මේක මේ අපි මේ මිනිසුන්ට දැනුවත් වෙන්න මේ රතු කොඩි ටික දාලා තියෙනවා. ඉවත් කරගැනීමට අදහසකුත් නැහැ. මේක උඩගම කෝල් එකක් මේ වෙන වීඩියෝ කරනවා.
However, the event was held as scheduled in the evening.
They're asking us to remove these decorations because the president is traveling across this area. We would like to question as if, under the concept of one country, one law, when the president is traveling across an area, can't we hold a meeting or put up decorations? The police had threatened our members and told them that if the decorations are not taken down in 1 hour, they will come and file action against us. We would like to inform police officers not to undertake political contracts. We would also like to tell the president that the people of this country have given you a presidential residence. Go to that residence and please govern this country. When you use this Madivela Road and the Udahamulla Road to travel around, there are many issues. There was initially an issue at a shop selling milk powder. They obstructed that shop. If you are curbing our democratic rights just because you are travelling along a road, there is something seriously wrong there.
A tense situation arose when a group of people who were removed from lands that they were enjoying for 20 years. The incident occurred in Mailavela, Hambegamua. According to our correspondent, a group of supporters of the Sri Lanka Potujana Peramuna, headed by SLPP parliamentarian Gayashan Navananda, had attempted to remove these people from the land, claiming that they were illegal occupants. When News First inquired on this matter from SLPP parliamentarian Gayashan Navananda, he said that a single farmer was enjoying the benefit of a plot of land that should be enjoyed by 17 farmers of the Dappula Farmers Association. He said that a group of representatives of the Farmers Association had simply held discussions and added that no one was assaulted.
The Sri Lanka Press Institute has denounced recent attacks on journalists.
In a statement, the SLPI said it condemns any attacks or threats that prevented journalists from executing their duties. The statement added that it is concerned with the implications affecting media freedom and the safety and security of those engaged in the media profession. The SLPI urges law enforcement authorities to take swift action to create a safe and secure environment for journalists and ensure the prevalence of democratic ideals and a free media in Sri Lanka.
More local international stories come your way on the other side of this short commercial break. Stay with News First. We will be right back.
Valuable Finance, best finance company.
Register today for a Zoom workshop on new technology in Sinhala.
On the 24th of February at 3 p.m. Engineering techniques to build the world.
Register by 0777 6000020.
Organised by Slit Institute.
Tech Bus.
Main sponsor.
Slit Knowledge University. Challenging convention and redefining education.
Welcome back to the news. The Ceylon Petroleum Corporation says 5 fuel tankers will reach Sri Lanka in the coming week. A ship carrying 37,500 metric tons of diesel arrived in the country this evening.
Chairman of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, Sumit Vijayasinghe, said shipments of diesel, petrol and jet fuel will be brought to the island on board the tankers. Accordingly, he noted that there are adequate stocks of fuel to meet the local demand. He said the CPC is prepared to supply the necessary stocks of fuel to the Ceylon Electricity Board for power generation. However, the CPC chairman emphasized that the CEB must pay the fuel at least in rupees. Meanwhile, the daily demand for fuel has risen drastically in the past few days. According to the CPC chairman Sumit Vijayasinghe, the usual daily demand for fuel in the country is around 6,000 metric tons. However, yesterday the daily demand had risen to 9,000 metric tons. A number of filling stations in Colombo operated as usual today.
The national grid lost 370 megawatts of power today due to the shortage of fuel. The Yuga Dhanuri power plant in Keravalapitiya shut down this morning and 270 megawatts of power was lost from the national grid. Another 100 megawatts of power was lost after the Supraskanda A and B power stations shut down. The Ministry of Public Services, Provincial Councils and Local Government says a circular will be issued tomorrow containing a series of instructions for all government institutions to use electricity and fuel sparingly. Secretary to the Ministry of Public Service, J.J. Ratnasiri, said, as per the series of instructions, government institutions have been advised to reduce the use of air conditioners and unnecessary lights as much as possible. Ratnasiri said instructions were issued for meetings and discussions to be held via Zoom whenever possible. The circular will further restrict the use of government vehicles to summon officials from outstation to Colombo for discussions and seminars. The Ceylon Electricity Board General Employees Union alleged that CEB officials did not contribute to promote renewable energy needed to solve the power crisis in the country.
We saw several of the previous governments speaking about producing renewable energy in their manifestos. Officers and professionals have deprived us of an opportunity to overcome these adversities. This is the reason we missed out a chance to solve the problem. We had an opportunity to generate a considerable amount of energy using solar power, but we lost it. We had a target of 80% renewable energy. That was reduced by 10%. We have a capacity of about 30 to 40% of renewable energy. But the engineers and officials of the CEB did not get an opportunity to increase this by about 10 to 15%.
Malaka Vikramasinghe also spoke about the decision reached to purchase fuel from the Indian Oil Corporation while not having enough money to repay the debts that they owe to the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation.
We are 100 billion in debt to the Petroleum Corporation. That is all right. The debt is local. Something can be done and the taxpayers' money can be used to settle that loan. But if they are indebted to the Indian Oil Corporation, that debt will be in dollars. Then what can they give? They will have to definitely write off some assets to them.
On the one hand, the country is experiencing a fuel crisis, and on the other, the country is facing power interruptions. How have the consumers been affected by this? Traders point out that prices of food items that were increased remains the same. As a result, the consumers are reluctant to purchase items. This is the consumer situation. Similar sentiments were expressed in other parts of the country as well.
අපි දවසින් දවස ජීවිතේ කීයක් හරි හොයාගන්න මහත්තයෝ ජීවත් වෙන්නේ. ඒකවත් වියදම් කරලා ජීවත් වෙන්න බැරි තත්ත්වයක් ඇති වෙලා තියෙනවා.
ඇත්තටම අපිට මේ ආර්ථිකය දරා ගන්න බෑ. අපේ ළමයිට දෙන්න කිරිපිටි එකක් කඩේ ගන්න නැහැ. කිසිම සාහනයක් නැහැ දුප්පත් මිනිහෙකුට. දවසේ කීයක් හරි හොයාගන්න මිනිස්සු ඇතින් අපි අත හද්ද අමාරුවට වැටෙන්නේ.
දැන් ඉතින් කන්න වෙලා තියෙන හුඹස් පැටි තමයි.
State Minister of Consumer Protection Lasantha Lagewanna spoke about the rising cost of living.
පසුගිය කාල සීමාව තුළදී විශේෂයෙන්ම හාල්
We agree that there is a shortage of rice, flour, milk powder, sugar, gas and cement. The prices were also increased. Currently the prices of some of these products were reduced. The scarcity was also controlled. Some businessmen are increasing prices after creating an artificial shortage. As the State Ministry of Consumer Protection, we are taking action to overcome this situation.
අධිකාරී විදිහට අපි ඒවා පාලනය කිරීමට සමස්තයක් වශයෙන් භාණ්ඩ සුලභ කරලා මිල පාලනය කිරීමේ ඉලක්කයක් ඇතුව අපි ඒ කාර්යභාරය කරනවා.
Consumers are suffering due to the rising prices of food. Usually, when food prices increase, the farmer who contributes to the production of the food is happy. But what is the situation like today? Agricultural experts and farmers point out that as a result of the fertilizer crisis, there is now a shortage in seeds and that there is growing uncertainty on how farmers are going to cultivate for the Yalla season. Is there a shortage of seeds? If so, why?
There is going to be a massive shortage in seeds with the limitations posed on chemical fertilizer imports. The production of seeds had dropped by 50%. The stocks of seeds at the Vegetable Seed Centre and other storage facilities of the Agriculture Department are almost over. The seeds at our outlets are also over. The production of farmers has also reduced. The agricultural sector will face a massive crisis in the future.
Why can't imported seeds be used to solve this shortage?
There is a dollar crisis in the country and we have to beg for dollars to import fuel. At a time like this, do you think we will have dollars to import seeds?
Can't paddy seeds be produced using the harvest that has been reaped?
About 640,000 healthy paddy seeds were produced during the 2020-2021 Maha season. We feel that this season the harvest will reduce by between 30 to 40%. We only get to produce about 450,000 bushels of paddy. There is room for a shortage of paddy seeds in the country.
Is the Yalla season also uncertain?
If we consider the next season, the fertilizer issue has not been solved. The pests issue has not been solved. Issues surrounding weeds have not been solved. The seeds are extremely expensive and not of a proper quality. In the middle of all of this, the newest issue that they have created is the water issue. During the past few days, they emptied the water tanks to run the turbines. Now the reservoirs are empty. There is a massive water shortage for the Yalla season. There will also be a shortage of drinking water in the future. Therefore, we will have to consider the Yalla season as a period of uncertainty.
Former President Maithripala Sirisena toured the northern province today. He attended several events organized by the Sri Lanka Freedom Party in Jaffna.
Former President Maithripala Sirisena visited the Nallur Kandaswamy Kovil in Jaffna and engaged in religious observances. He then obtained blessings from the Mahasangha at the Sri Nagaviharya temple. The former president then visited the bishop's residence in Jaffna. He also met with religious leaders of the Muhyiddin Jumma Mosque in Jaffna.
The Jaffna District Conference of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party was held in Keravalapitiya, Vadamarachi today. The conference was held under the auspices of the chairman of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Maithripala Sirisena.
තරුණ ජනතාවගෙන් ඉල්ලීමක් කරනවා ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂය සමග උතුරේ ජනතාව
I make a request from the youth of the North. Join with the Sri Lanka Freedom Party so that we can embark on a new journey. The people of the North gave me 95% of their vote for the symbol of the swan. The eyes of all politicians in this country were opened after my victory. It was only after that that politicians understood the people of the North should also be given a hand to develop just like the people in the South. We will take this party forward as a party with no corrupt politicians. We will hand over the Sri Lanka Freedom Party to the youth of this country. There is a massive issue in the agricultural sector of this country. Farmers do not have fertilizer. We regret the fact that such a situation has arisen. During my tenure as president, the people did not face any of these issues. Prices of goods were low and people were happy. Also, we were able to develop good diplomatic ties from across the world. I was close to all state leaders in the world. So all heads of state in the world supported me to govern this country. Look at what has happened to the fishing community in the north. The government must intervene to solve these issues. They must discuss with the Indian government and stop this. That is the responsibility of the government. On this stage, I join my hands and give my praise to the people of Udupidi electorate who elected MP Angajan Ramanathan to parliament at the previous general election.
උඩුප්පිඩි ආසනයේ ජනතාව ප්‍රමුඛ යාපනයේ දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේ ජනතාවට මගේ මේ අද්දේක ඔසවලා මම ගෞරව කරනවා තමුන්නාන්සලාට මම සියලු දෙනාට අපේ ප්‍රණාමය පුද කරනවා.
Convener of the Voice Against Corruption, Vasanta Samarasinha, made a revelation today regarding corruption that took place when awarding a tender for the construction of the strip between Galagedara and Rambukkana on the Central Expressway.
පහුගිය දවස්වල හදිස්සියේම අධිවේගයෙන් ටෙන්ඩර් කැඳෙව්වා.
A tender was called suddenly for the construction of the Central Expressway between Galagedara and Rambukkana. This tender was a popular topic of discussion among the general public recently. The government is trying to hide something. The strip between Galagedara and Rambukkana is 20 kilometers. Two private organizations applied for the tender. One of the company was a Chinese company named the MCC. The other was a consortium of local companies. The Chinese company had quoted 822 million American dollars, less than the Sri Lankan company. If we calculate this amount in Sri Lankan rupees, considering that a dollar is worth 200 rupees, the Sri Lankan company has quoted 374.4 billion rupees for this project, while the Chinese company has quoted 210 billion rupees. That is a difference of 164 billion rupees. It costs 145 billion rupees to build the entire Hambantota port. There is still 20 billion left over it if you consider the Chinese tender. They are trying to steal an amount that could fund the construction of the entire Lotus Tower as well as the Hambantota port from this deal. We are certain that it is politicians who are behind this corruption. We have to put an end to this immediately. They are trying to steal 10 times the amount that was stolen through the bond scam.
මේ දේශපාලඥයෝ මේ කොල්ලයවහම නවත්තන්න මහා බැංකු බැඳුම් කර වංචාවෙන් කොල්ල කෑවා වගේ 10 ගුණයකට වැඩි මුදල් කොල්ල කන්න තමයි මේ හදන්නේ.
Now, Newsfirst attempted to contact the Secretary of the Ministry of Highways as well as the Minister in charge to receive some clarity on this matter, but such attempts were not successful. However, Newsfirst will continue to pursue the truth. Moving on, the opening ceremony of the Wedding Week 2022 was held in Colombo last evening.
The Wedding Week 2022 opening ceremony was held under the auspices of Minister of Sports and Youth Affairs Namal Rajapaksa. Wedding supplier stalls, food tasting and wine tasting were featured during the event. The opening bridal and groomswear show of Wedding Week was held thereafter, featuring multiple international designers.
Moving on to news overseas, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is willing to meet Vladimir Putin to find out what the Russian president wants and seek a peaceful settlement amid growing concern over a possible imminent invasion.
External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said India's relations with China right now are going through a very difficult phase after Beijing violated border agreements. He underlined that the state of the border will determine the state of the relationship. Jaishankar, addressing the Munich Security Conference 2022 panel discussion in Munich, Germany, said there is a problem India is having with China. The Indian External Affairs Minister, who was in Melbourne last week, had said the situation at the line of actual control has arisen due to the disregard of written agreements by China not to mass soldiers at the border, and noted that Beijing's actions have become an issue of legitimate concern for the entire international community. The fourth meeting of the Quad foreign ministers was held in Melbourne, Australia last week. The four countries formed a group called Quad that aims to counter China's power in the Indo-Pacific region, which includes Sri Lanka.
Buckingham Palace has said that Queen Elizabeth has tested positive for COVID-19.
The palace said Monarch is experiencing mild cold-like symptoms but expects to continue like duties at Windsor over the coming week. It added in a statement, quote, "She will continue to receive medical attention and will follow all the appropriate guidelines," unquote. The Queen, aged 95, had been in contact with her eldest son and her heir, the Prince of Wales, who tested positive last week. It is understood a number of people have tested positive at Windsor Castle, where the Queen resides. Prime Minister Boris Johnson tweeted, quote, "I'm sure I speak for everyone in wishing Her Majesty the Queen a swift recovery from COVID and a rapid return to vibrant good health," unquote.
And in sports news, Sri Lanka won the final T20 international match against Australia with 5 wickets.